I am joined by former UFC lightweight champion, former two-time Bellator lightweight champion. Just an all-around combat sports legend, Eddie Alvarez. How are you, sir?
How's it going, Eddie? Long time no chat.
Hey, man. Life is great, man. Anytime I get to talk to Eddie Alvarez is a good day for me, I'll say. And you're heading into BKFC 56 this Saturday, Salt Lake City, Utah. You're taking on Platinum Mike Perry. And I got to be honest with you, this fight gives me butterflies. Not many fights do that for me. I've seen so many, I'm kind of desensitized, but this is one of them. And I spoke to David Feldman recently, and he told me you asked for this fight, right? Like you wanted
Yeah,
Mike Perry.
yeah, yeah. Originally, when I was joining Bare Knuckle, when I was considering it, um, I just look it's just the reason you just said you got butterflies. I didn't want to be involved in fights that fans didn't care about. And I'm never involved in fights where when I'm fighting opponents that I know for sure I can beat. That's not my MO. That's not why I'm in this. I joined this sport to go after the best fighters in the world. And if you considered yourself that in your perspective, if you're in your respective sport, then I was coming after you. I'm more curious. I'm more worried. I'm more curious than I am worried about winning. I need to know that I beat the best guy, not just that I did it honest. I went after the best guys, and I think right now, Mike Perry, he's undefeated. The fans love him. He gets a lot of attention, and I think this fight is for you guys. I think this is the perfect fight to get everyone excited, including myself.
Yeah. Honestly, I felt the same way about your last fight with Chad Mendez. Like as a hardcore, I guess you'd say. Like for me, that was so epic. And I remember I spoke with him recently, and he was telling me how much of a blessing it was because he fought at featherweight for the bulk of his career. But for him to be able to move up in weight and not have to deplete himself was he wish he had done it sooner. So
Yeah,
for you, you're moving up in weight for this one. You're fighting at 175, I believe. Uh,
yeah.
do you feel better going through this camp, not having to deal with cutting down to 155 or depleting yourself as much as
The truth is I can't make 155 anymore. Even in my scans and stuff, my muscle mass is like 167. I'm like 167, 168 pounds of muscle on my body. So I'd have to cut into a lot of muscle, a lot of water just to get to 55.
Oh wow.
So since I left UFC and I've been fighting outside of that, it just my body composition went up since I've been fighting at 170. I fought at 170 over in Asia. I moved back here, and I walk around. I could walk around as high as 200, over 200 sometimes,
Oh wow.
depending on how far I am out of camp. So to get down, trim down to 175 or trim down to 165, that's more realistic for me.
And another thing Chad touched on is how much he enjoyed not having to grapple for in a training camp. Do you share that sentiment? You think it's been nice not having to
I
grapple?
I do because like grappling is the exhausting part, right? But it's not only the exhausting part. That's where all the injuries happen. Every injury in MMA, if I had to say the percentage of injuries where they come from, I would say like 70% of all injuries come from wrestling. It's not even jujitsu. It's wrestling itself. Just scholastic wrestling is really tough on the body. Your ligaments, your tendons have to be good and strong as can be. And sometimes when you're cutting weight and you're depleted and you're moving like that, injuries happen all the time. So I like the fact that most of the time during that camp, for the most part, you're going to make it to the fight.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
very difficult to fuck up at training camp when you're training boxing, but it's very easy to do that when there's a lot of unpredictability with kicks, wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu. Like it's very easy to not make it to the fight.
No, that's an excellent point. And I know you had a face off with Mike Perry recently. And of course he fought heavier his whole career. What do you think of the size discrepancy? Was he bigger than you thought, smaller than you thought? What'd you think of that?
I think his structure, like he's a muscular, but he's a smaller welterweight. He's not a big welterweight, you know? So like I think he's like a medium-sized welterweight, and I'm probably a welterweight, not like I would consider myself maybe on the bottom end of a welterweight. He's probably at the mid tier. I don't think he's a giant welterweight, so I don't think there's going to be a massive. I probably step in the cage 190-ish the night of the fight. You know, once I return to form, I'll step in the cage 190-ish, something like that. I don't want to be too much more, but I'd expect him to kind of be around the same 195, 200. I don't look. I've been fighting 20 years. I fought welter. I fought at 155, 165, 160, 170, now 175. The weight has very little to do with a fist fight. If you're ready and you have a strong spirit, you'll win a fight.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
absolutely.
weight doesn't matter.
Did you see the size of his Christmas tree?
I'd probably bet my tree was my tree every year is bigger than his.
We gotta maybe this could be the start of
we're gonna have to have a tree off.
a tree off.
I know I get a live tree every year though, but every time I go in, I make sure I say I want the largest one you got in the whole damn building. So, but we get live trees every year. We don't get the fake ones. So
Yeah, same here. You gotta go real, right? And they
yeah.
got the new trend where you buy two trees, right? And you put one inside and then just the top of the other one on the roof so it looks like it's poking through.
That's pretty dope.
That's the new trend.
Yeah.
Uh, about that face off though, what was the deal with the body punches? What gave y'all the idea to do this?
We didn't have the idea. That was Mike's idea. Mike started punching me, and I'm not gonna. If he touches me, I'm gonna touch him back. If he spits on me, I'm gonna spit him back. If he slaps me, I'm gonna slap him back. Like it's part of the course. So like it's just I'm a decent enough counter fighter. If he punches me, it's only right he gets it back. So like he tapped me, I tapped him. Then he hit me a little harder. I hit him a little harder, and then it was what it was. It was fun.
And you're someone who's been there and done that, and you've fought everybody out there, and you've won titles in all these different promotions. You win on Saturday night. Do you walk away on top? You walk away on a win, or do you keep fighting? Or like when do you have like a set? I'm only fighting up until this point, or does it all depend on how you feel?
Yeah, I love when people ask that. They're like, "What more do you want to prove?" It's like, who said I was trying to prove something? Yeah, I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. That's not where I'm at. I'm a fighter. This has been my life since I was 19 years old. Before that, I was in wrestling, so that was considered fighting. So I've been doing combat sports since I was 14, 15 years old until now for the last 25 years. So I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. I'm just trying to get better in every aspect of sports, athleticism. I want to be stronger, faster, more intelligent. I want to be a better fighter, better ground. Like, I just want to get better. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. If I get world titles, and if that's a byproduct of that, me just getting better and getting, then hell, that's awesome. But I'm not trying to prove anything. So when people ask me that question, I'm like, who said I was trying to prove anything? Like, I got the world titles, yeah, but like to me, that's just part of the journey. Like that was going to happen if I stayed on this path long enough. That was going to happen anyway. So like, and it's going to happen more. You know, the longer I stay on it, the more things I'll collect. But the idea is just to get better myself, not, you know, the end all be all isn't a belt.
And do you plan on sticking around BKFC, or do you want to try your hand at maybe different combat sports or different leagues? Or, I mean, what's the future hold for you?
I'm up for anything, but honestly, the real goal for me right now is I want to help build BKFC. Like I want to, like I believe in it. I believe that there's room and there's a spot for this sport in combat, and with the fans involved, I believe there's a huge spot for this, and I think it can get really big, and I want to help do that. Um, I've been a part of other major promotions, Bellator, Dream. I helped promotions build Bodog, MFC. Like I helped promotions help build them in the beginning, but I truly believe in BKFC and what they're accomplishing, their momentum, and the sport itself. So I want to help do that. So like that's my goal right now, is to put on as big of fights as possible and help build this promotion.
Definitely understandable. And yeah, you really have, like you were saying, Bodog and Show XC and Bellator. I mean, you were at Bellator 1. You know what I mean? Like you've
Yeah.
been around the block. Do you have any advice for guys who might be changing promotions or on the verge of switching leagues on the best way to navigate that, or maybe something you wish you knew back then that you know now?
Hmm. I don't know. Like the best advice I can give, and it's not a one size fits all. That's the hardest thing for fighters. Like I couldn't sit here and say, "Hey, do this," because that's what I did, and it'll work for you. That's not how fighting works. That's not how, especially when you're trying to make money in fighting. But I can say that the largest and most successful organization in the world is the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC. And if you follow their business format and the way they conducted themselves, they went to a platform, they added value to that platform, they became the largest thing on that platform, which was like television to begin with, and then they moved to another platform. So they took the fans from Spike and they went to, I believe it was maybe Fox. And then they left Fox and they took all the fans from Fox and they moved to ESPN and they signed a bigger deal. And they just kept climbing the ladder of bigger deals and collecting platforms and fans and audiences. I think fighters should do the same exact thing. I think they shouldn't have, you know, a girlfriend or a wife per se and say, that's what I am. I'm a UFC fighter. I'm a Bellator fighter. I think they should be more concerned with whoever they are. I'm Eddie Alvarez. I want to add value to any room or any promotion I step in. And in order for me to do that, I need to become better. I need to add value and become better. That way, you're not begging promotions to get on their card for whatever they'll pay you for. You can actually add value and bring eyeballs to the promotion. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I try to, in a way, do what the UFC did. They did it right. They moved platforms and they became the largest. And I think fighters should kind of follow that lead.
That's pretty sound advice, I'd say. Build your own personal worth, and then, you know, you hold more power, I guess, so to speak. Um, but like we were saying, you were at Bellator 1. That's in 2009, and here we are, 2023, and the PFL just purchased Bellator, and I believe they'll keep them around for 2 years and then phase them out. Are you surprised at all that Bellator is going away?
Am I surprised? I can't say I am, considering like the last 2 years, it kind of was slowly happening, right? We all seen it happening. It wasn't like we seen some sort of catalyst coming along that may take it to the stratosphere, or like big tournament or anything like that. It was slowly like putting less cards on, putting less, and the best thing about Bellator is it does have really good assets, and like Corey Anderson and Nemkov and like the McKee and the Pitbull brothers. They have great fighters and great assets to like kind of work with. And I think it's a good job PFL bought them, but I think that places PFL in the driving seat to be a surefire number 2 in MMA. But I think they got an uphill battle and they got some work to do, and I think they're willing to do it. So I wish them the best.
Oh man, speaking of the Pitbull brothers, I remember when you kicked Patricky in the head. That was pretty ridiculous. Do you have like a personal favorite finish of yours that just kind of stands above the rest?
Yeah, the Bellator days. Yeah, I always said in the Bellator days, I'm like, oh man, if I get a head kick knockout, I'll just retire because I had so many fights even before that Patricky fight, and I traveled the whole world fighting everywhere, and I'm like, hey, I just want a head kick knockout. If I get one, that'll be enough for me. And then I got one, and I'm like, still here fighting, but pretty awesome finish. Use the dart, use the dart, use the dart. And on the dart, I set up a head kick knockout. It was perfect execution.
Yeah, that was pretty nasty. Would you say that is that your favorite finish or?
Favorite?
Yeah, yeah.
No, no. I like the sloppy messes that you just gut out, and then you somehow find the power to someone up, like a Justin Gaethje finish, like
Mm.
how we're going to war, and next thing you know, boom, one of us go down. So like that's the kind of knockouts I like, where it's blood and guts. Everyone's expecting us to kind of ride it out, and the bell's gonna ring, and you find some energy within you to kind of get something. That knockout was probably one of the tops.
Yeah, that was wild too. And your wars with Dustin Poirier. I mean, so many wars. Who would you say hits the hardest? I mean, you fought everyone. So I feel like you have a pretty good.
Oh man, hits the hardest. Um, that's so tough to say. Yeah, that's tough. I fought a guy in Japan, Tatsuya Kawajiri,
Mhm.
and his name was the Crusher. His nickname was the Crusher. And I fought him in Japan, and maybe I felt like his gloves were loaded, but every time he hit me, it felt like a car accident.
Oh wow.
And I knew that if I didn't finish the fight, that I was going to get DQ because my eye was starting to shut and it was cut open and it was pretty bad. Um, but I would say every time that guy hit me, it felt like a little bit of a car accident.
You think it was like plaster of Paris, or you think he just hit hard?
I have no clue. I know that the commission wasn't
Sure.
really existent over there. Wow, that's
Yeah, the Japanese commission, their officials, not the most, not on the up and up all the time, we'll say. Man. But you fought everybody, man. Is there anyone who just got away from you that you always wanted to face, but it never got booked?
I think I think it would have been awesome for the fans, and maybe I'm also happy we didn't fight because I'm a fan of him and I like him as George Masvidal. We were scheduled to fight quite a bit, a couple different times. We were on a collision course and it just never happened. And maybe a part of me is a little bit glad about it because like watching George kind of do what he did toward the end of his career, I was on the street Jesus train. I wanted to see him. I think we both started in 2003, and I just wanted him to win. I wanted every time I seen him on TV and he was resurrecting his career and doing what he was doing, I was just so for him. So kind of happy we never even had to take neither one of us had to take a loss off the other one. So end up being a good thing. I'm a Masvidal fan, but that was probably the one that kind of got away that fans probably would have been happy to happen.
That would have been a banger for sure. Absolute banger. One more question. So, you've seen so much from so many different promotions and so many opponents and so many different athletic commissions, rule sets, you name it. If you could change one rule in combat sports, what would it be?
Hmm, that's a great question. Um, one rule. If I could change one rule in MMA, I would actually I think I'd like to shorten the rounds. I think shorter rounds would be better for the athlete and for the fans. I think that
Mm,
if they made the rounds not 5 minutes, maybe they made them the ratio to work the rest is too much. Like it's 5 minutes and then a minute rest. It's 20%. It's not a good ratio. And I think guys get exhausted. And then sometimes you see duds of fights. And it's very, very difficult to fighters to fight at a high level and at their best for 5 minute rounds. So I think you could cut out a lot of stalling and a lot of stinkers and matches like that. Maybe if you made the rounds 3 minutes long, five 3 minute rounds, something like that. I think that may be better. Might pick up the pace, make it higher pace, and I think fans would be more engaged.
Yeah, I think so too. I know I competed in like an old school Muay Thai fight out in Thailand, and they made us do 5 3-minute rounds instead of 3 5-minute rounds, which is like the new kind of standard, I guess, in Muay Thai. But I feel like the 5 3 minutes is way better. You got just 5 minutes is an eternity, and especially if it's a dud. And yeah, I think you might be on to something there with the
It is. I think it'd be like the difference of like when you turn on track and field, like are you gonna sit there and watch someone run 10K? Are you gonna watch that whole race with the same kind of energy and the same kind of commitment and focus that you watch a 400 meter or a 4x1 relay? Like, no, you're not. You're gonna be like, all right, the race started. I'll watch the first lap. I'll go get a sandwich. I'll come back. So like, I think just to pick up the energy, to focus, and in today's world, people are pretty much all ADD. You gotta speed up the shot clock, man. You gotta get something going.
No, that's a great way to put it, man. Well, Eddie Alvarez, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak with me. Mike Perry is on your dinner plate. BKFC 56 this weekend in Salt Lake City, Utah. And thank you so much for all the incredible wars you put on over the years. I am personally grateful, and best of luck to you out there.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. War.
Yes, sir. Fuck yeah.
See you, brother.
Appreciate you, man.